Happy Saturday, everyone. Lots of craziness went down at the end of the DEKA FIT. Mark and Jessica both disqualified. I wanted to get them both on the horn, as well as DEKA on the horn. I'm working on all those things. First one up is Mark. I just talked to him, so here it is. And then we'll get to Jessica later today, and hopefully someone from DEKA FIT later today as well. Mark Polzin finished in third, then DQ'd. Away we go.
Okay.
Glad you're able to hop on at short notice, and I really want to get to kind of
Sure.
how this went down. But
Yeah.
I did just go back and rewatch the final station. How would you rank your burpees on a scale of 1 to 10?
5 probably.
All right, good.
Couple bad ones. Couple bad ones for sure. Yeah.
I would say a couple of real bad ones, and again,
Yeah.
that's not your job.
Right.
The judge's job. And I gotta say, I gotta be honest, Mark, I don't even know what you were doing there. A couple times you kind of stepped back. I've not seen burpees look like that. I also have never fought for a podium. Okay. So I'm giving you a lot of grace here, right? It's a big deal, right? It's a lot on the line. People are screaming. So I've never been in that position, but yes, those were pretty lousy. Now, again, your job is to listen to your judge, follow the judge's instructions. Number one, there's a deeper conversation we can have another time, Mark, about personal integrity and doing good reps and all that shit. But for now, we can only deal with what happened in the refereeing. So,
Right.
um, it looked like the only difference between you and Jack putting your final rams down, which is the job, don't throw it, place it, is yours tipped over and his didn't. Does that sound accurate? Because that's what I saw.
I didn't really think the setting it down or was the issue at all. I didn't think I did that wrong.
Okay, well, I'm trying
Back
to
up with
get,
the burpees.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Back up with the burpees. Let me describe how like the really bad, you don't know what the fuck I was doing thing. And all I can describe is like being really drunk. That's the feeling it was.
Yeah,
If you everyone's had that feeling, and it's like, yeah, those weren't really good burpees. I get it, but
right.
yeah. So back to that.
And
Back to that.
if the judge says no rep and you kind of get, I think that kind of shakes you out of what you're in, and you go, what do you mean? And he's like,
Right.
you got to stand up or whatever it is. And yes, this all
Yeah.
takes time, but this is part of sport that looks like this. CrossFit's done it for years. Like there's precedent
Right.
for how to do this. So yeah, again, like I've never been in that position, and someone needed to, either your judge needed to, or we're going to get to the head judges, whether that's Nelson or this other guy I'm hearing about, Tyler, needed to correct that judge. Like something needed to change in, because they started somewhere in the middle, so they had plenty of time. It wasn't just your last two. I'm not making you a bad guy, just saying what happened. So now, tell me what happens after that, because that was the speculation. Because Jessica, apparently her DQ was around putting down the ram, so some people thought maybe yours was too. So you finish the race, right? You think you're third, and then what happens? Kind of take me through the timeline.
Well, I'll just take you through the whole burpee like station. Okay. So I get there,
I'm sorry.
doing them. I'm
I,
doing them.
I appreciate
That's
you
okay.
coming on
I'm
and being a
doing
good
them.
sport. Listen, I just want to say I appreciate you coming on and being a good sport. The internet is probably saying horrible things, so I appreciate you coming on and being a good sport about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all right. Yeah. So coming to the burpees, and I know Jack's there. He's maybe a couple seconds ahead or whatever. So I already playing this in my head. It's going to be a battle. So doing the burpees, I count to myself rep 5, and my judge says 4, and I go, "You mean 5?" Then I continued to do a burpee, and the next one he gave me 6. So okay, we're on the same page with the number, right? Everything's great. He's counting my reps all the way through. It's a struggle, as we're going through them. I get to 18, and he says 18, and I can hear Jack's. I'm close enough where I can hear his number as well. So he's on 18. So I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Proceeded to do my two, set it down, and lunged in. Kind of had this in my head. I needed a lunge or dive or whatever it was to get that extra second or half second or whatever. That's the plan. So that's what it was. And looking back now in the video, yeah, there was a few sketchy burpees. No, never no rep me. The head judge came right away and warned me on that. Like, I think it was the first or second or third rep was kind of ugly too. He had warned me on it, but there was absolutely no reps against me. My judge had given me 20, called 20. I went in, finished the race, rolled around for a while. You know how we do it. And then 2 minutes later, the head judge, I'm not even sure his name. It's not Yancey. I don't know who's
Was it
running it.
Nelson?
It might have been.
Okay.
It might have been Nelson.
Okay.
Yeah, he was familiar, but didn't really know who he was. But he came in and said, "Oh, we're gonna have to review this. You only did 18. You only did 18." And I'm like,
Was it
bullshit, whatever.
just to get clarity? Is it this guy? That's Nelson.
Yeah, it was him, I believe. Yes.
Okay. Because I'm hearing the race director. I reached out to Preston, who said it was Nelson and then a name I didn't know, Tyler. And so I'm talking to
Yeah, I've never
Jessica
seen
too.
that.
I'm trying to get clarity.
Yeah.
So he says you only did 18.
And he said there's basically going to be a review about it.
Okay.
So whatever, I'm just gathering myself for the next while here. I don't know, maybe 20 minutes passed by, get myself put together, whatever, going around talking to guys, go check the leaderboard. They got me down in third place, like a second ahead of Jack. And Jack and I had talked, what a battle, whatever. We had discussed, good race, whatever, and stuff guys do after a race. So I had uh I had a hotel near there, so awards was supposed to be at 10 o'clock. So I'm like, well, I'll go shower up and I'll come back. So that's what I did. Went and showered up, came back. I got back about, I don't know, 45 minutes before the awards, and went to the leaderboard. My name wasn't on there. So I went to the score table there and I said, well, I got a question here. And then they were kind of waiting for me. So then we had a conversation. It must have been this Tyler guy and Nelson. They kind of pulled me aside and they told me what their ruling was, and I proceeded to you know complain a little or argue a little, so to speak, about not just the burpees, but the whole deal with DEKA. Anyway, still kind of upset about it, and we went back and watched the video together. So we did what they did, pull up the video, and the guy said he'd watched it 5 or 6 times, which in the video it does count me 19. I acknowledge that. I also acknowledge that my judge had told me 20. And if you actually if you watch the judge right when I set the ram down for my 20th rep, he actually is clapping, which you would think would indicate, good job, good race, good finish, whatever. And you don't usually clap if you're short on a rep and your guy, your athlete just finished. So in my mind, I did the 20 at the time. I finished. The problem I have is I can accept the penalty, I guess, or the ruling, but the DQ I thought was a little harsh for the one missed burpee. Now maybe they could have pulled me back, but kind of like they did in High Rocks. I'll do the one damn burpee. I get a time, I get fourth, whatever. Not what I wanted, but I was there. The DQ thing is kind of a harsh pill to swallow after the travel and the time, and you just kind of want a time. That's kind of the most upsetting part. I mean, at the end of the day, I was really there for a time to qualify for Worlds, and that time really wasn't it anyway. So I'm upset at myself for that. I'm not really, that's not DEKA's deal, but I don't know. This the whole kind of deal is a little screwed up, even, and then I had heard about the elite woman and her issue, and I'm like, what? I don't know. This is getting a little out of hand with, you know, the finishing and then the penalties afterwards, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the Spartan precedent that that
Right.
like we all know is wrong that they've done for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Right.
we're going to give penalties. I mean, if they actually followed what they did, it would make sense. So what they said was penalties after the race, which on its own is stupid because we're basically you'd get penalized for like a burpee, so you're basically being penalized for your penalty, right? This is the Spartan sense, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
there's a review period that you can argue about. Then there's a final decision. Then there's awards, right? Except that every time one of those issues came up, they always changed it again and said, well, actually, we can change it after awards, or they'll change it a day later, or they'll not give you the review period at all and just tell you when it's over. All the stupid things that Spartan has done, we would hope DEKA would learn from. So in a job with in a sport with judging, again, that's the judge's job. I could see them if they like the one thing I could give them would be like, all right, you shorter rep, it's 30 seconds for every rep. If you do 5 or less reps, if you do five, if there's 5 or more
Right.
missed, then it's DQ. They clearly just cheated, right? Which is
Right.
kind of what they did for burpees once upon a time, because the
Yep.
30 seconds is going to take anyone who's battling for a podium spot off the podium, or anyone battling for a qualifying spot probably out of qualifying. So if you had to do one, I would do that. I have a very clear stance on disqualification. Here's what should disqualify you. Number one, you failed a drug test. Number two, you fucked with another athlete. You shoved Jack out of the way. Three, you again, you did like less than 5 laps, less than 5 reps, you missed more than 5 reps in any one thing. You're clearly like, now you've established here's what a felony is, right?
Right.
This gets you jail time, a DQ. So now that they've DQ'd you and Jessica, anything else that comes up that's perceived as even close to the same or worse, it's going to be like, why did you fucking DQ those guys? You know what I mean? That's why it's such a bad
Right.
precedent. And the stink that you feel of not even getting a fucking time. This is my personal feeling.
Right. Well, and you know, I know they made the rule changes supposedly for the better, and I get it. They're trying to clean it up, and a lot of bitching from last year and everything, but it it's just like the way, even looking at the rules, I found like a loophole there where it's a 1 minute penalty, even if you do like a station out of order, just a 1 minute penalty.
The only
Well, hell,
word
I'm
the
thinking the next one.
I searched the word disqualification in the 2024 season rule book because I'm like, well, this is going to be easy to find. It says it in one place around not wearing a chip. That's where the word disqualification is used. I can't find it anywhere else.
Yeah, but I mean, literally, the way the rule is, one of the rules I read in there is like if you do a station out of order, it's a 1 minute penalty. Well, hell, the next race I might just do the bike first. I'll do it first. Get the fucker out of the way, knock it over in 30 seconds, take my 1 minute penalty, and then have
And you
everyone
still come
die
out
in zone
ahead.
seven.
You
Right,
still come out
right.
ahead.
I'm like, hey, I don't want to be that guy. Like really, what the hell's this idiot doing? Going to zone seven first, but you know,
Right.
it's like just kind of get the punishment doesn't fit the crime kind of deal a little better. I would have been happy if they would have dragged my ass back out there and did my one burpee, you know, kind of like the High Rocks lady did there, or whatever,
Yeah,
Sloan.
that's
You know,
right.
I mean, that was, I mean, I don't know. And then, I don't want to like put like the elite heat above any age group heat or anything, but like if these guys are and we're competing for a money prize, whatever, not a ton of money, but it's still a prize and there's money. Find 10 judges that know what the hell they're doing. Like, and just have them follow that athlete through the whole race. It's a half an hour, you know, pay these judges $100, whatever. I don't know, something. But I know everybody's talked about this for years, and like,
But
I
it's
don't know. It's just
it seems even sillier for DEKA because it's even easier because they're all right there, right? We've said it at Spartan for
right,
years.
right,
Can you at least do the elite heat? And that's dropping people off over the course of 5, 8, or 13 miles. This is like 10 people. You've got one job,
right,
and most of it's pretty easy to judge, right?
right.
Like,
It's an hour. Like men and women's, you know, uh, uh, you know. I get it. And then the reason, I'm like, why are we so focused on? They got all these camera angles on zone 10 on the burpees. So, we're gonna go back and review zone 10 to my situation. I'm like, well, what if someone only did 2 reps short on the box overs or 3 reps short of the sit ups? We don't give a shit about those zones. It's like, come on,
well,
what? I mean,
you have to
you know,
understand, right? And the only reason you even have that to look at is because the OCR report is committed to showing up to those races because Yancey's not paying
I
them to do that, right? They're doing it, and then they're going to try to get Patreon money, which is great. It gives us a thing to watch, but
right,
like that's the only reason they even have it. Otherwise, it would just be
right,
who knows? It would just be you would probably would have been fine except for somebody, might have put their girlfriend's cell phone and been like, I don't think this guy did enough reps. That's what we used to have at Spartan.
right,
So,
right.
so yeah, you basically have
I,
10 zone 10 to look at.
I did mention that to him in my argument. I'm like, you're going to take a third party like video and use it to like punish me here, basically.
Right.
I'm like, huh, yeah. Well, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world, but it's just kind of like, oh shit, you know.
Well, I think we've all been extremely patient. We've all been extremely giving. We're like, hey, Yancey's only got so much to work with, and Joe doesn't give him anything to work with. And we've all, I
Yeah,
think, been super generous over the last couple years. And now we're this many years in, and we watch what High Rocks is doing, and we see the quality of their races, their live streams, their judging, which of course could still use some help. But and we're like, okay, like we can only
yeah,
give you so much slack, Yancey. We love you. You're an amazing human, right? We're bummed you had to miss
right.
it for apparently there's a death in a family, thoughts and prayers, but it's like, yeah, it's getting to the point where it's not okay. It's like, yes, you don't have any money to work with, but that's not our fault. We're trying to show up and do what we think
Right,
is a professional race.
right. I mean, you're putting on an event. If you want it, you know, if you want it legitimate, make it legitimate. Kind of. So yeah, that was the story basically. I don't know. It was not the race I wanted to run, but it is what it is, and that's how it ended. So
So where will you be next?
good question. I am signed up for the Ultra actually in DEKA. That's going to be something different. It's interesting to see who all shows up for that, but it's kind of like my quote unquote hometown race. It's a 5 hour drive for me, so it's not
Where,
really hometown, but
where are you out of?
I am just west of Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Okay. Do you know a gentleman named
And
Bracken Crocker? It's a very unusual name. Lives in Wisconsin.
oh, I know him, yeah. I mean, I've met him a few times, but yes, I listen to all all the stuff out here in our industry. So yeah, kind of waiting for him to get out there and race too a little bit.
Yeah.
Marcus Wallace. I know the Wisconsin homies. So
Right. Um,
yeah,
so
I apparently I need to do find a regular DEKA though to qualify for. So we're gonna have to find something to try to get in the worlds and see. I heard it's only 15 this year, so
yeah, what do you think? What do you think the bottom time's going to be?
it's gonna have to be 31 low, I think.
And what was
I mean, I think
yesterday?
we're gonna get a couple actually from Spain.
Very possible. What are you? What was yesterday's time, or what's your PR?
It was 30-32 something it was yesterday. My PR would be 31-19. So I was kind of right.
Right.
You know, everybody was a little slow yesterday. Glenn and Isaac were 30 seconds off, and
Just
everyone was just kind of slow. So I don't know.
just say jet lag.
Right?
That seems to be the excuse. Well, listen, man. I do appreciate you coming on. Like I said, I'm sure people say all kinds of crazy shit on the internet and are probably not as nice
Yeah,
to you. So, like,
I'm
it's
too
it's
old to I'm too old to take that to heart.
but see, is that listen, I'm not thrilled about getting older, but I said that to my wife yesterday. One of the greatest things about getting older is you truly do not give a shit.
Right? It's true. Yep.
All
So,
right,
well, thanks
man.
for having me on, and I appreciate it.
All right, man. Talk soon. I want to put this up right away because people are hungry for it.
Oh yeah.
All right. See
Thanks,
you
man.
later. See ya.
Bye.